Like, that place was gross. It was bad. It was disgusting and unlivable. We had to abandon our trip and go home. And why we completely gave up on Crestline in general is actually part two of the saga. We knew we had to find somewhere else to stay. I began looking while talking to Airbnb on the phone, trying to get them to resolve it. We really thought that they were going to fix everything. Because there was no arguing with us that this situation was unlivable, right? Like, we called Airbnb, and of course, the first thing that they tell me, I send them pictures of everything. Here's the trash, here's the beds without linens, here's the note from the sanitation department. And Airbnb is like, okay, yes, this is all irrefutable evidence. And I do see that you've attempted to contact the host multiple times. I try to avoid being Karen. I never ask, can I speak to your manager? Or I need to speak to your manager. I never say that shit. Uh, I don't yell at service people. It's not their fault. We're all cogs in the machine. They probably don't like their boss or the company they work through for any more than I do at that moment. They're just doing their best. So as much as I want to, I never yell at customer service people. I'm never rude. Um, Unless they're rude to me, and then all bets are off, and you know, I'm only human. But I try not to be Karen, right? That lady who's like, I have an unreasonable request, and I'm gonna demand to see your manager, and then inevitably you are the manager, and now I look like a moron on social media, etc. I try not to be that lady, especially since when my hair is shorter than this, it kind of looks like the Karen haircut. So I always assume that whoever I am speaking to is the proper person to speak to, and maybe they can solve my issue. Instead of being the person who asks to speak to a manager, I am the person who frequently gets transferred to the manager. People ask me to speak to their manager. So, with our wide variety of issues that we were having at the cabin, immediately the Airbnb rep is like, I'm going to transfer you to one of our senior case managers. So that happens, and I'm on hold for like 40 minutes to an hour with Airbnb, waiting to talk to a senior case manager. And we're just already looking for somewhere else to stay. We don't even care anymore. I'm like, I just want a refund from this place. And we don't even need it to be Airbnb anymore. My friend found a website for like a set of cabins that we could go stay in, and it looked really cute. Like, it was just this kind of private area run by a family, and they had a bunch of cabins on the property. And my friend was like, "Well, this is perfect. But their phone number is not working. Whenever I call it, it says this number is out of service." And we're like, "Well, it's just down the street, so you might as well go check it out." So my boyfriend and my friend go to, she probably would have gone on her own, but I didn't feel like sending her out to a bunch of privately owned cabins in the middle of the woods and, like have that horror movie moment of like, I'll be right back. And then they don't because it's a cabin in the woods. So she goes off. So they go off to go check, and it turns out that they walk up and they see this like they're looking for the office. They find the office, but it's definitely closed. It's very closed. There's like a chain on the door or something, and they're like, "Oh, okay, that's not a great sign." But it's kind of late at this point. It's like 7:30, 7-ish, between 7 and 8. And they're like, okay, it's kind of weird. But then this guy, this like big guy with big full beard, comes walking up and goes, how can I help you? And they're like, we'd like to stay here tonight. And the guy goes, we haven't taken guests in over a year. So my friends just walked up to a private residence and said, knock, knock, can we sleep here? And then got rejected, which is the saddest part. So they very quickly turned tail, and my friend is like, but your website is still up and says that you guys take reservations. And he says, yeah, I've been trying to get my brother to take it down. So my friend comes back and she's disappointed, and I'm like, I mean, so people are just like living in the cabins? And she's like, yeah, just like a bunch of hippie looking people. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I don't want to sleep there. It's probably some like mountain cult. You don't know. It's California. There's weirdness in them hills. They both come back and no such luck. She keeps searching online. It's the saddest thing ever because she keeps calling and calling and calling other places that we could possibly stay. And once she was literally on the phone, she's like, I'd like to speak to you about reservations at your Crestline location. Oh, not at all? Okay, not at all. And she hangs up and she's like, they're not taking reservations right now. And, it it slowly became apparent that it's very hard to get a place to stay in the mountains at 8 o'clock at night, um, during a pandemic. Which, it's easy to laugh at us in this story because perhaps we should not have been so surprised. I eventually get on the phone with the senior case manager, and he asks, of course, like, can you send me all the pictures? And so that he knows that I'm not bullshitting for some reason. How could I make all of that up? That is some creative bullshit. And, like, why would I? But they gotta validate, right? So I sent him all the pictures, and he responds with, "Okay, let me contact the host and see if they can remedy the situation." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. There's no remedying this. This has been a day and a half. I've been working on this issue for over 24 hours now. There is no fixing this. And you're not going to be able to call off the Department of Sanitation. There will be no water in the house." But he's like, well, we can't issue a refund unless we confirm that the host is unresponsive. And I'm like, you're going to make me wait while you call the place that I have been on hold with all day. And I'm like, they're not going to answer. I'm going to save you some time. They're not going to answer you. So I get put on hold while he calls Vacasa Vacation Rentals. And that takes even more time. And I'm trying to look online and I'm trying to look on Airbnb, and I'm pretty sure like for a cabin, and I finally found one, and I'm like, oh my god, like there's a cabin, it's open tonight, it looks perfect for us. And I'm like messaging the woman, and I'm like, listen, I'm so sorry, but the cabin we're currently staying at is unlivable, and we really need a place to stay. Could we check in tonight? And this woman, I explain the situation with this long message, and then she just sends me a ready to book invitation, and I'm like, no other questions or context. And I say, hi Jennifer, thank you for inviting me to book. Will we be able to check in tonight? Because it was like getting close to 9 o'clock at that point. And can we do a contactless check-in because I don't want to go through all this trouble just to get coughed on or cough on somebody. And she says, "Hi, no problem. You are welcome to stay in my cabin tonight. Please give me an hour to get there. Thank you, Mark and Jennifer." And I'm like, "Oh, yay!" But she still didn't answer my contactless check-in question. And then I try to book it though because we're desperate. We need a place to stay tonight. We need a place to stay tonight. I can't sleep on that bare mattress again. And I try to book, and Airbnb tells me no, because it's potentially unsafe to book that late at night. So I'm like talking to support, and I'm like, you guys need to help us find a different cabin. Support ignores me and eventually just responds with, yes, Vacasa is unresponsive. We will process your refund. And I'm like, but you need to help us find another place to stay. And the Airbnb guy sends me a list of San Bernardino hotels. And I'm like, I don't want to go to San Bernardino. I want to be in the mountains. And like, just the idea that you could replace a mountain vacation with staying in San Bernardino. And if you don't know anything about San Bernardino, just do a quick Google search and just look through the images, and you realize why this felt like a personal insult. So I say Airbnb is not letting me book. They blocked it on the site. And Jennifer, who we're trying to book a cabin with, responds, "Please book with Airbnb for your stay and we'll meet you up there in an hour. Thank you." And at this point, I'm like, is she a bot? She's not responding to what I'm saying. So I said, Airbnb is not letting me book. I'm speaking with their support now. And she goes, okay, take your time. And then several minutes later, finally says, I can leave the keys under the front doormat and do a contactless check-in. I'm like, oh, perfect. All right. So the real Jennifer and not the bot finally chimed in. And I'm like, well, the site's not letting me reserve. Could I book for tomorrow, but arrive tonight and book it one day past our intended stay so that we pay you in full? At this point, I'm ready to defraud Airbnb or whatever. We just need a place to stay or we are out on our ass. And then Jennifer says, I forgot to tell you there is no TV and internet Wi-Fi in this cabin at this time. Is that okay to you? No, Jennifer. I am a young lady in my mid-20s. I need Wi-Fi. Sorry that my ideal of camping does not include being totally at one with nature and having no way of contacting anybody in an emergency. I need Wi-Fi. And also, I want to go on my fun apps. Plus, I have to work. Like, this trip was actually like during the work week. And I work remote, so definitely need Wi-Fi. And the worst part is she waited until after she thought I had already booked. So, had to message Jennifer, oh, I'm sorry, I need Wi-Fi. This won't work. Thank you for trying. And at this same exact moment, my friend Kate got a rejection from whatever hotel she was trying to talk to, and she hung up and she was like, I'm done. I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore. And I was like, Jennifer just lied to me about the Wi-Fi. It was a lie of omission. She knows that people need Wi-Fi on their vacations. And we basically all looked at each other and went, I think it's an L. I think we're taking an L. And we had to pack up everything, including all of the groceries. We were going to be there for 5 days, and my boyfriend wanted to like barbecue and cook and stuff. So we had a lot of food. Like, we weren't planning on going out to eat at all. So we had 5 days worth of groceries and alcohol in the fridge, and we had to pack it all up with our stuff and drive back to Pasadena at 9 o'clock at night. So the whole ride home, like, my friend is on her phone, like trying to process with her family members this like horrid experience that we went through. But she told the whole story to her grandmother, and I love grandmothers because her grandmother's response to all of this batshit crazy experience was just like totally unacceptable stuff, and like ridiculously low level of customer service, non-existent customer service, though it just not a thing, non-existent. Her grandma goes, well, God clearly didn't want you there. He wanted you to leave. And it's like, you know what, Nana? Yes, we're going to assume that if we had stayed, something really, really bad would have happened. And this was just the universe protecting us, getting us the hell out of Crestline and safely back in Pasadena. We think that if we try a trip again, it's probably just going to be a day trip. We are not going to attempt to stay anywhere but my nice apartment. And I would love to hear some of your stories of horrible trips and vacations. I hope everybody is doing well and holding up. And I'll see you next time.